Okay, one of the biggest questions in the Dragon Ball Super fandom is the mystery behind the legendary Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan, right? Who was he or she, and how did it all happen? We were introduced to the concept with Battle of Gods when Shenron mentioned this warrior, right? Vegeta, the prince of all Saiyans, who we all know has the most knowledge out of all of the Saiyans at the moment, and even he didn't even know what Super Saiyan God was and how it existed. Now with this new interview with Toriyama himself, smoking some good kush and alcohol, we finally know who the Super Saiyan God was and how did it happen. As we are all part of the Dragon Ball fandom, we love making our theories and trying to explain things in the anime for everything to make sense, like literally everything. And obviously the original Super Saiyan God was under a lot of speculation, but Toriyama finally explaining what's going on, it was actually so interesting and refreshing to know who he is. So all credit goes to Hams and Ken for translating everything as usual, as they are a big part of this community. They make pretty funny tweets at times too. I suggest you follow them, but the concept of S cells and now the Super Saiyan God concept, it kind of seems as though Toriyama is being inspired from his love of Western media again, like Star Wars, because there is a lot of correlation between what he is saying at times to these series he loves. Like Star Wars is riddled in Dragon Ball with little references. In the Star Wars franchise, using the Force is linked with midichlorian cells. Of how powerful you can actually use the Force, it depends on how many of these cells you have in your body. So this sounds a lot similar to the Super Saiyan and S cell concept at this point, we have to admit that. But I guess we are all inspired from something, and that's what makes us who we are. If he feels as though it fits his series, then f*** it. One thing we need to all understand is that the Saiyan race and planet work on a survival of the fittest regime. I mean, we all know this, and in the same interview and in multiple explanations in the anime or manga, it states that Saiyan children are taught fighting when they are kids. Saiyans only breed for the sake of natural progression rather than love in most cases. A Saiyan with a power level at a young age gets more training than others, and the list goes on and on. So this kinda explains everything of what's going on in the Dragon Ball franchise right now. Okay, so the concept of the legendary Super Saiyan was looked into from the beginning of the revelation of Super Saiyan itself. After the brief story given to us by Frieza and Vegeta during the Namek arc, Dragon Ball fans start to wonder who this might be. After the introduction of Broly, some fans started to spread a misconception about the legendary Super Saiyan, right? That this guy might be him. The whole idea behind Broly being the latest of the legendary Super Saiyan who appear every 1,000 years was not originally canon, but was actually created out the misconception, or rather an inspiration from the manga itself. Contrary to popular belief, in the Frieza saga, Vegeta does not mention the legend of a Super Saiyan appearing every 1,000 years, but rather he states that the last one appeared 1,000 years ago, or 3,000 in the English dub. This was a reference to being a Super Saiyan in general. However, Daizenshu 6, being about movies and TV specials, state that Broly is the latest of the legendary Super Saiyans who appear every 1,000 years. This notion is even included in the PSP Shin Budokai game. However, this form does not exist in the original manga, as the regular Super Saiyan form is the Super Saiyan of Legends. This form was actually created by Toei Animation in order to create the idea that there was a single individual Saiyan who possessed a unique Super Saiyan transformation that was genetically exclusive. Later, another Dragon Ball movie brought a new idea to the table after the release of Dragon Ball episode of Bardock. Fans started believing Bardock was the legendary Super Saiyan who was mentioned in the original story. But although the episode of Bardock explained a lot and even fitted like a jigsaw puzzle, right, it was pretty cool and I loved it, but the movie isn't actually canon. So the identity of the legendary Super Saiyan was still kept a mystery, right, until now. We now know who this guy is, and this is pretty crazy. So in a recent interview with Akira Toriyama, when he was asked, was the legendary Super Saiyan that Frieza feared the Super Saiyan God that appeared in Battle of Gods? So Toriyama responded by saying, in a certain sense, they are the same person. This is to say, very long time ago, before planet Vegeta was the same planet, there was a man named Yamoshi. Now, Yamoshi is probably a pun on Moyoshi, which is Japan for bean sprouts, and it follows the vegetable terms that the same names use, right? And this guy Yamoshi had a righteous heart despite being a Saiyan. He and his 5 comrades started a rebellion, but he was cornered by warriors and became a Super Saiyan for the first time. Though this transformation and first Sim fighting style shocked the other Saiyans, outnumbered, Yamoshi eventually wore himself out and was defeated, but this was only the beginning of his legend. Afterwards, Yamoshi's spirit wandered in continuous search of the 6 righteous-hearted Saiyans, seeking a new savior, Super Saiyan God. And that's why there's that ceremony to become a Super Saiyan God that we see in Battle of Gods and Dragon Ball Super and everything else. So on a follow-up question asking Toriyama on why did Beerus search for this Super Saiyan God, Toriyama responded by saying that Beerus probably picked up on information about Yamoshi's spirit in his prophetic dreams. The fact that this is recorded in the Namekian Book of Legends is likewise because the Namekian elder who wrote it sympathized with Yamoshi's spirit. So with this new information, I guess it kinda is trying to imply that Yamoshi had 5 comrades he was fighting with, and then he achieved Super Saiyan and he died due to being outnumbered. But the legend continued because one of them, or if not other Saiyans, witnessed it and let the other people know what happened. Now, going with this interview, it is not clear if Yamoshi is actually achieved the Super Saiyan God transformation himself. What could be implied is that his spirit inspired the Super Saiyan God ceremony after his death, and that was the beginning of the Super Saiyan God legend. But it's also possible that he achieved the God transformation with the help of his 5 comrades. But for him to be defeated in that form, I don't know what type of enemy may he be fighting, that they're on God level as well. So maybe he was just a normal Super Saiyan and not a Super Saiyan God, so we don't know. I don't know, I'm kind of confused there. But Yamoshi seems to be described as being a person that was righteous and unique compared to the other Saiyans at the time, because Saiyans are usually aggressive, so we all know in typical anime fashion, if you are slightly unique from everyone else, that means you're special. And on top of that, one question we need to ask ourselves is, how comes his spirit was restless and flying about? Was that a side effect of becoming a Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan, or is it because someone did something to him to become so? How come no one else usually gets this treatment like he did? Yamoshi being righteous and different to the other Saiyans actually relates back to Goku as well, because Goku is also seen to be righteous and different from all Saiyans for his time. Now, there is not much we can go on at this point of time. However, Yamoshi's character has actually been shown to us in Dragon Ball Battle of Gods movie when Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan God for the first time. He looks quite similar to Vegeta, and it wouldn't be far-fetched to suggest that Vegeta could be related to him because, you know, he's because of his lineage and, you know, him being a prince and everything. You know, you have to give Vegeta some credit. Now, this concept of legendary Super Saiyan has got a bit confusing since the introduction of Kale, as she has also displayed the strength and power comparable to the uncanon Broly, which is much different from the other Super Saiyan transformations. So the question arises, is Yamoshi Super Saiyan similar to her Super Saiyan, and could they be a descendant from her universe? We just don't know. Where is Yamoshi from? I want to know this information. And that's such a cool name too. On top of that, in the Dragon Ball franchise, it's very unique. Hopefully there'll be more information on Yamoshi, and who knows, he might be important to the storyline later on in the next Dragon Ball movie that might be coming out in 2018, and it might be about him and the enemies he faced, and that would be freaking really sick and cool to learn the backstory of the Super Saiyans, add a bit more history and je ne sais quoi to Vegeta's history too, and that would just be sick. That would be such fan service to the Dragon Ball fans, and we will love that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new. Hit the like button, check you guys out next time, and see ya.